Welcome to Literary Lights 2011. The Associates of the Boston Public Library's annual tribute to outstanding New England authors. I'm Vivian Spiro, Chairman of the Associates of the Boston Public Library. It's my pleasure to present Betsy Hall with this award, which is identical to the one we give our lights. Betsy, out of the shadows. No, you'll make me ruin my mascara. That's all the thank yous I'm going to give this evening, other than to our writers, and that's implicit.
Liking things allows them autonomy, uniqueness, and room to change. It is the work of the imagination as it discovers decency. Liking a lot has had too few champions. Our Stephen Burt is foremost among them. Stephen Burt.
Wow, thank you so much. I like being here a lot. I also like Dan's own, if you don't have a copy of Where's the Moon, There's the Moon, Dan Chason's own latest book of poetry, that's worth a look. I like it a lot. I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
You can rest assured that nobody today retitles Tom Cook's books. One after another, they have been superb novels. We in New England can call him one of our own because he spends 6 months of the year on Cape Cod and 6 months in New York. There's no cheap slapstick. There's no melodrama. There is very little overt violence in Tom Cook's books. There is only mesmerizing prose and riveting storytelling. So step into the darkness with Thomas Cook. You may be surprised that by the time the book is over, he is leading you toward the light. Ladies and gentlemen, one of America's most successful and prolific practitioners of psychological suspense, a writer's writer, and my good friend Thomas Cook.
When Bill said that I would come tonight, he said to be short, and I'm sure that you can see that's not a problem for me at all. So I will actually be short. But years ago, when I was a child in Alabama, I read a book about a Southern boy who comes north called North Toward Home by Willie Morris. And that became my anthem, so that when I came to New York City, I found that it was my home. And later, when I came to Boston, and Houghton Mifflin was my first publisher, they were my home. And Cape Cod now is my home. And I have never been received with more warmth than I have been received in the North. And I have never been received with more warmth than I am tonight. And I want to thank the Boston Public Library and everyone involved in this wonderful evening for us writers. Thank you, we writers. Thank you so very, very much.
Hi, thank you. I got really excited when I saw the table of Tiffany boxes. You can't know how exciting that is for, well, a woman, but a playwright, it's just wonderful.
At their best, writers teach us what it means to be human. And I can think of few writers who've taught me as much about that as Anne Hood. Her books remind us that grief and love are inseparable. We grieve because we love, but grief isn't the end of the story, or even the most important part. If I were a mountain gorilla, Anne Hood, I'd walk over to your table and give you a good hard slug on the back. But instead, I'll just say thank you and congratulations. You're a true literary light.
Wow, this is heavy and great. Thank you. I love you, Tom Parada. I do. And I love the Library Association. I love my table 22. I've been having like the most fun. And Bill Martin and Tom Cook, an honoree and a fabulous Bill Martin from Hawaii. Thank you. And my fabulous dates tonight, my husband Lauren and my son Sam, who turned 18 yesterday. I love guys in tuxedos as much as I love gorillas with all their hair. And my children who couldn't be here, Ariane, Grace, and Annabelle. So I love you all. Thank you.
And I've been to a lot of restaurants over the last 30 or 40 years, met a lot of chefs. I've never met anyone like Barbara. She understands it's about the people who work with her. She's self-effacing, she's tough, she's smart. You walk into a Barbara Lynch restaurant, they're all very different, the menus are totally different. You know in 5 seconds it's a Barbara Lynch restaurant because you're greeted properly. People are happy to work there. I've been in lots of restaurants where people clearly were not happy to work there. It's a very friendly place, it's comforting, it's like home. And that's Barbara Lynch. You know, she's on one hand a tough professional, on the other hand, she's a lovely human being and makes you welcome when you walk in the door. So Barbara Lynch. I think this is truffles from Tiffany.
Is that a big white truffle? Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, look at this. This is amazing. Whew. Thank you, Chris. Jeez. Hi. And I can't believe Lydia's here, Billy Bulger's here, and half the St. Patolph Club is here. And geez.
We can't have Mark Twain tonight, but here he is, Ron Powers, talking to us over dinner, and we're grateful for his fierce, unceasing passion. The prize-winning writer who has brought us 13 important books in just 3 short decades. Ron Powers.
Thank you, Megan. Very grateful for 2 things tonight. The first is that my tuxedo pants haven't yet fallen down, despite the fact that the suspenders never arrived. With any luck, I'll make it the rest of the way.
And critically, he's the author of 7 books, including a Pulitzer finalist, and most recently, Last Call, which you will find on your tables. A trenchant as well as witty account of the rise and fall of Prohibition. Americans, he told Jon Stewart, have always enjoyed spirits. There was a time in the 19th century when consumption averaged over 90/5 of hard liquor a year. 90/5 of hard liquor a year for every man, woman, and child over the age of 15. It's rumored that Boston accounted for more than half. From baseball to booze, writing to editing, magazines to newspapers, our keynote speaker tonight is a Renaissance man of bravery and wit. And he is still going strong to reach 103, watching out for his jealous husbands. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Okrent. Daniel Okrent. Okay.
Thank you, David. You left out my years as a flight attendant at TWA. And I won't talk about fantasy baseball tonight, I promise, only to say that I was once asked by a reporter at the Wall Street Journal how I felt having invented this thing, and I said I knew how J. Robert Oppenheimer felt having invented the atomic bomb. I want to thank Vivian and the associates for inviting me here tonight. I want to thank my dear friends Laurie Conway and Biddy Owens, who are responsible for my being here, and I'll hold you responsible for that for a long time. I want to thank the writers with whom I'm honored to share this platform. And I want to thank the readers, all of you who have come here tonight in honor of the the Boston Public Library. I think I'll stop right now and go. I also want to acknowledge how pleased I am, and abashed as well, to be involved in an event meant to enrich a fund named for David McCullough. For those of us who attempt to write history with scholarly rigor for a popular audience, David McCullough is the literary light who shines more brightly than any other. We admire the lucidity and liveliness of his prose, the breadth and intensity of his research, and his commitment, demonstrated in his support for the fund that bears his name, to the preservation of the tools of history.
What the library is all about, and particularly its most fundamental and precious holdings, is that we all are compelled through the presence of these things to explore ideas that don't necessarily make us feel comfortable. The spirit of inquiry in the form of physical objects exists in the special collections. We all have an obligation as citizens of this Commonwealth to rally together and to keep these things viable, accessible, meaningful for posterity. These are not things that can be easily transferred to electronic media. We can digitize them, but frankly, there is nothing to compare with being in the presence of an object like John Adams' personal atlas. When you're there and you see the marginalia scrawled in it, it's just, there's nothing. I'm sorry. So thank you and good night, and here's the good fight.